Did I do it right? And we're live. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for another free Assange Vigil here. I would like to, first of all, say we have some wonderful guests with us. We have special guest host Mark Lubbers joining us and my always wonderful co-host Misty Winston. We do have Bill Hogan with Doctors for Assange and wonderful returning guest Cathy Vogan with Consortium News. But first, I do want to run through the numbers with everybody. It is currently day 3,892 since the illegal and arbitrary detention of Julian Assange started. It has been 856 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the US and UK for a $4.2 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund to the nation of Ecuador. We have 210 days since Vanessa Baraitser's January 6 ruling denying Julian Assange bail after personally ordering his release and ruling no extradition in his case. We have 1,440 days of inhumane pretrial detention for the alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultz, and at least 1,006 of those days have been spent under special administrative measures. We have 855 days since the political persecution of Ola Bini started by the Ecuadorian government. We have 60 days since Commander X was illegally taken from Mexico in rendition to the United States. I believe October 3rd or 13th is his next court date. We have 63 days since whistleblower Reality Winner was moved to house arrest and is expected to be placed into parole on November 23rd. We have 508 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning, and we have 158 days of freedom for Jeremy Hammond, although he does still suffer from parole for, I believe, the next 2.5 years or so. But with that, how are you doing today, Misty?
I am doing very well. We really need to add Craig Murray to that.
We do.
And do we have Daniel Hale on there?
We do not have Daniel Hale or Craig
Daniel
Murray.
Hale. We should probably do Joshua. Yeah, we need to add. I know that's a lot, though. That's a lot of numbers, unfortunately. I wish that we didn't have so many of those numbers to report to you guys, or at least I wish some of them were some of the good ones, like Chelsea Manning's been free for however many days. It's depressing that we have to keep adding to the bad numbers list. But I'm doing good, Andrew, now that I've just taken the whole party down a couple notches. I'm so depressing. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm okay, and actually, I discussed the Daniel Hale case earlier today with David McBride.
Nice.
Because, yeah, he was kind of like the first one who came out with that whole story about the misconduct in Afghanistan, and Daniel Hale and also 2 Dutch veterans pretty much vindicated him in that sense, because they were telling similar stories about innocent civilians being targeted as supposedly enemy soldiers. Well, they were really just civilians.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And also Daniel Hale's support team, we should mention, put out a tweet today I think, actually, that they were just inquiring that if they were to put out like a fundraiser to help Daniel with his like court fines and stuff like that, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, his legal fees are probably exorbitant. So if you can go to his Twitter, it's like, I don't know what it is. Daniel Hale support team, I think is like their name. I don't know what the handle is. But just like go and just like comment that you would be willing to donate to that to encourage them to do it. We did it for Chelsea. We managed to pay off her court fines within like 36 hours doing crowdfunding. So we can definitely help Daniel out too. I would love to see everybody, even if it's just like a couple bucks, if everybody does that, we can pay that off. And that's what we should be doing for somebody like a Daniel Hale or a Chelsea Manning. So yeah, I think they tweeted that out today. And I think it's a great idea. I would really like for them to do that. I will definitely donate.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely. Links down below. We have the North Carolina billboards. We have the End the Damn Wars, go get funding up. I believe we have the link to Craig Murray's Legal Defense Fund. So whatever is your fancy, please donate if you can. If not, please help share the links, because it is pretty hard times for everybody right now, fair to say. But we are on the eve of Julian's next court date, which is tomorrow, about, as Cathy told me, about 8.5 hours from now. And there is a handful of people that will be live tweeting it. Most notably, I would say Consortium News, Kevin Gostola, Richard Medhurst, Mary Kostakidis. Those were all some of the names that back in
Muhammad Almazi, Assange Defense, Muhammad Almazi. Yeah.
So please, if you can, follow those people on social media. I'll put a little tweet out with who to look for that. But I do wanna kind of get your opinion here as we go into this next I don't know, waiting period of a few hours before everything starts, about what you think we should expect today, Cathy, or later today.
Well, look, I'm going to bump you on fairly soon to Bill, because Bill is one of the doctors for Assange, and we invited Bill and Jill Stein, Lisa Johnson, Sue Wareham, and what's his name? The other guy, the new one that came on, the English one. Bill, do you remember his name?
Derek Summerfield.
Derek, of course, but then there's another one. Sorry.
And Bob Gill.
And Bob Gill, yeah. So we had them all on for a bit of a discussion of what this appeal might be about, because we didn't know too much at the time. But since then, Stella has done an update, and she has made it quite clear that what Bill thought was correct, that they are making a run on Kopelman. His evidence is solid, and that's a kind of a medical question. But all I can say is that there were really disgusting attempts made in court, which I witnessed directly, to discredit. Is it Professor Kopelman? I think it is, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
To discredit him, and they really threw him. The story of the razor blade, in particular, they tried to. It was James Lewis QC who tried to say that there was no report about that. So I'm almost telling Bill's story now, but therefore Julian had fooled him about that. But there was a Bingham Pierce, I think there's a lawyer who works for them that produced the report. I mean, the thing was, if there was no report, it didn't exist, then Julian was a malingerer. And I think that very, very much through Kopelman. We only saw the back of his head the whole time, unfortunately, because he had a few moments where he got his own back. And that was when he after James Lewis, as he had done with every single defense witness, he had tried to discredit their credentials, say that their experience wasn't appropriate. Although that happened in reverse as well. But Kopelman had really taken, what could be called a hammering, but then he reminded Lewis that 5 or 6 times he had been called to be an expert witness for the prosecution, Mr. James Lewis in particular. So that caused a lot of laughter and diffused the tension. But they are indeed going after the reputation of Professor Kopelman on a question of partiality, and that's we spoke briefly about that, Bill, didn't we? We couldn't really say too much, but because we weren't sure. But because of what Stella has published, I don't know if you've seen Stella's update. Might be good to actually go through that and read it out to people. But I think a lot of people probably have. But Bill can fill you in much better on it. This is a medical issue, and that's why I asked Bill if he'd like to come along, because he's a doctor.
Yeah, sure. So thank you, and it's great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. So Kopelman is really central to the whole thing because the denial of extradition was decided on the grounds that to extradite Julian to the United States would be oppressive by virtue of mental health grounds. And the judge relied on Professor Michael Kopelman's expert witness testimony to a large extent. And there's a good reason for that, and I can go through the reasons for that. But it's really, for the prosecution in their appeal, it's a Hail Mary pass to knock out Kopelman because it's so foundational to the judge's ruling and her reasoning and applying all the legal tests, which I'm not a legal expert, so I'm not so, and I live in America, so what law I do know is American and not UK, but yeah, so Michael Kopelman, he's a neuropsychiatrist. I think he's actually an emeritus professor now, so he's had a long and storied career. As Cathy pointed out, he's been used as an expert witness in legal proceedings numerous times for both the prosecution and the defense. The reason his testimony was so impressive and so authoritative, he visited Assange on more occasions, spanning a longer time period than any other expert witness. He also interviewed Assange's family and colleagues and friends, and he took copious notes, 330 or 350 pages worth of notes. He reviewed Assange's medical records from Australia dating back decades. And so he really just had the complete comprehensive picture that no other expert had. By contrast, Dr. Nigel Blackwood, a expert witness for the prosecution, saw Assange twice a week apart for 4 hours, whereas Koppelman had seen Assange. The first visit, it's a little unclear. The judge's ruling just says it was between May and November of 2019. Then on 3 additional occasions, going through, I believe, March of 2020. So, and despite the brutal cross-examination, nitpicking things like, could he remember the 10 specific criteria for a particular, mental health diagnosis from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the DSM. The judge's ruling is actually very interesting if you read about that. She doesn't find that kind of those kinds of games convincing. So
yeah, and I think it's just really interesting that not interesting, it's frustrating that we even have to have, it's like Kevin Gostola says, we shouldn't even be here. We're having this discussion, these appeals, like they were trying to bring up whether or not the United States could be trusted to, because they've made their assurances that he won't be treated poorly or whatever. And, we're supposed to take that seriously, but we shouldn't even be here. Like, those aren't even conversations that we should be having. This trial shouldn't even be happening, or these hearings shouldn't even be happening. And it's all surreal when you hear, like, we're still talking about it. And it's always just really surreal when I think about it, that we're still at this point where Julian Assange is still facing 175 years in prison. And Craig Murray's in prison too now.
Yeah, and as doctors for Assange, we relied on Craig Murray's reports. So if you look at the first Lancet letter, End Torture and Neglect of Julian Assange, we cite Craig Murray's blog in that letter. I believe we also rely on Craig Murray's reports. We have a lengthy online supplement to the second letter that if you look at that, we reference Craig Murray. So his daily reports from court are, somebody called them today on Twitter, just besides factual, they're also literary.
Yes, I saw that tweet. So accurate.
Emotional. So, and they are, and it's clear that going after Craig Murray, there's lots of reasons for them to retaliate against Craig Murray, but his reports from court in part led to the formation of Doctors for Assange. So the report from 2019, where he couldn't remember, he had a hard time speaking his own name, and that moved my colleagues in the UK, Stephen Frost and others, to just say enough. We've got to do something, and we've got to get moving. And so that led to the first Doctors for Assange letter that got a lot of media attention. In fact, that's what got my attention, and I joined the group after that letter. That they put out the open call to join. So, Craig Murray, it's a travesty what's happening there as well.
Yeah, well, not only, so I don't know much about UK politics for why, like I know why Craig was being prosecuted. I know about the Jigsaw stuff and the Alex Salmon case, the sexual harassment, all that. But through that prosecution and through those court trials, they were able to stop Craig Murray from going to Spain to testify in Madrid against the CIA and UC Global. In the actual court documents for Craig, they cite the reason he's such a prolific journalist and why the jigsawing matters is his coverage of Julian Assange. That was a specific thing that they pointed out as why he was such a prominent journalist. literally using Julian's name in the indictment against Craig. And now that Craig is in prison, he's not going to be able to put out a man from the public gallery. There will still be articles, but there will not be Craig's perspective, which I think is ultimately the larger hand that the UK is trying to do in essentially attacking Julian's case and the people around him. So I was just wondering, Cathy, if you thought why, because there was apparently a short 2-page statement about why certain portions of the appeal were rejected, but they didn't talk about why the other portions were accepted, from my understanding. And I was just wondering why you thought there was such a heavy level of secrecy around this, to the point that the public doesn't even have a full copy of the appeal, let alone the UK court's decision on it, and why they accepted it in the first place.
Well, look, if you listen to Alexander Mercouris, I think it's, he's saying that the High Court wants the US to let the US have their day in court, which seems to me a thing about diplomacy as much as anything else. So, I mean, because the part to do with the assurances, they're letting the US have their say, because the accusation is that the conditions are such that they would induce, they would put Julian in a situation in relation to his prior condition, right, and his mental condition, where he could not resist suicide. What you were talking about before there in the ruling, Bill, is the Turner test, and that's a case, and it's a very, very strange thing, because when it says mental condition, you have the impression that has to be something that's long term. It's a bit like insurance companies, like in reverse. They won't insure you if you've got a prior condition, and this applies if the prior condition is long term, I suppose. But it's about not being able to resist suicide because of a well-established mental condition. It's not your mental condition right now because you've been put in SAMS, and there's been people in SAMS, as John Kiriakou pointed out on our show, for 44 years, when more than 14 days is supposed to be torture, and according to European law, opinion, I should say. So I think it's to let the US, articulate that their prisons are not all that bad. And, who the hell is going to believe them? I believe there are 80,000 people in solitary confinement in the United States. Not that many under SAMS, but you don't have to be placed under special administrative measures to be placed in solitary confinement. The other thing about the assurances, which I'm sure everybody knows already, but it's worth repeating, is that there is the caveat in there where the US has the right to completely change their decision, and I don't know what Abu Hamza did, if he did anything, but they gave assurances to the UK that Abu Hamza, who had no hands, he was a terrorist, but he'd blown off both hands, and the UK, for humanitarian reasons, said do not place him in solitary confinement, because how can somebody with no hands even handle their knife and fork, right? I'm sure he just has to get down on the floor and lap up his dinner like an animal. But, as soon as he was on a US soil, Abu Hamza was not only placed under SAMS and has been in isolation for 9 years now, but they denied him prosthetics to make it manageable. So it's outrageously cruel. Okay, so as far as the Australia story goes, that's not an assurance at all. That was,
no.
as we know, that's something that any prisoner can apply for to have their sentence served in their country of birth, I suppose, or nationality or language or whatever. But they can all apply for that. But of course, we know it could be 10 years further down the track. And Julian would if he's unlikely to survive being sentenced and sent to the US, he's unlikely, even more unlikely to survive 10 years
Right.
of appeals. So this is very bad. But I think the UK is allowing the US to have their day in court, at least to articulate that. I don't know if people know yet who the judges are. I do. And I think that's okay to disclose at this stage. So we have Lord Justice Holly Rode, HOLYRODE, Timothy, his first name is, and the other one, I didn't know her, Mrs. Justice Farby. She's not listed. I went and had a look at, to see who these people are. So I know that Lord Justice Holyrood has had a lot to do with immigration. Is it him? I don't know. I just want to get my facts straight. So just let me look at Judith Farby first. So Judith Farby QC specialises in public and administrative law. She undertakes cases raising European and international human rights law. She has extensive practice in the law of detention, and she appears in judicial review cases involving the criminal justice system and serving prisoners. So, yeah, I think that this woman has definitely got potential. Judith Farby, you say, and now Justice Farby has certainly got potential in my books. And Holyrod, there is a case where he has presided in relation to a transsexuals case, their right to be placed. There was an objection to transsexuals being placed in the gender, the prison gender of their identity, and Holyrood ruled against that and said no, they should be comfortable, they should be allowed to serve. Because there had been some prisoners that were attacked by transsexuals. I read the case. That's why I'm so tired this morning, because I thought there's not going to be much time. So I looked into that. But he seems like a decent chap too. So I'm not too pessimistic in looking at both of the judges. Anyway, so that's that. In terms of Kopelman, it was obvious that they were going to go after him. Because as Bill says, he's the star witness. Ziggy is the star witness for the prosecution, comparing the two. Oh my God! But I don't think it has been. Look, Bill, have you got those shared documents so that we can actually read them? Barait's comments in relation to Kopelman's evidence. I mean, she firmly rejected, accusations of partiality. When I read that, and that's in her ruling, for maybe the first or second time, I thought she wasn't a bad old stick either. But you know me, I'm the eternal optimist. But have we got that? Yeah.
So I'm not able to share my screen, actually. So, and just briefly while you're doing that, I mean, the medical aspect of the so-called assurances, I hate calling them assurances, great, because they're not very assuring, is that the district judge, Breitzer, she really carefully picked apart the conditions, not just with respect to isolation, but with respect to the care and treatment Assange would receive versus what he's getting in Belmarsh. So, one thing he has access to in Belmarsh is the so-called Samaritan's line. He can pick up a phone call anytime if he's in crisis or needs to call. That doesn't exist in the U.S. prison system. She very carefully identified, based on the evidence and the testimony that was submitted, that security concerns far outweigh treatment concerns, and therefore any kind of again, assurances that he would get in-depth proper care matched to the severity of his condition just what was unlikely to happen. So I should be sharing now these PDFs. So let me switch to the judge's ruling. So, okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It failed again. Let's see, let me try again. No, it says it failed again.
That's weird. Let me see if I can share my screen. Just test it. Oh, I have an echo. Can you see that, Andrew?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is it because Bill didn't have permission before? Bill, would you be able to shoot it through to me and I can flash it up for you?
Sure.
Is that easier or?
That's right. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. We've been having trouble with some Jitsi stuff too. There was one day we had Steph Samorano on, which is Jimmy Dore's wife, and we couldn't get the link wouldn't work for her. We were panicking. It was ridiculous. We're doing it live.
Were you? That's right. Bill, where
I just sent it to you.
Via email or Twitter?
Yeah, email, sorry.
That's okay.
It didn't occur to me to do it a better way in time.
Oh, interesting. It hasn't arrived yet.
Email can be slow. My email's always kind of slow.
Try to DM it, Bill.
What's that?
Maybe you should try to DM it. That might be quicker.
Can you do that in Twitter, you mean?
Is it a link or is it a file?
Oh, I sent the whole PDF. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Oh, maybe that's why it's taking a little while. Oh, here, got it.
Okay, yeah, it's like a mega, 1.5 megs.
That's all right. So did I have permission, Andrew, to share screen share? I never
You
thought
should
of
have sent it to
asking
me. We're so good at this, you guys.
We are.
Can you believe that there are people that think that we're scripted?
No way.
Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, who edited the last one, cut it down by about 50 minutes, and add some illustrations. Looks scripted to me.
Is it letting you share, Cathy?
Now, which one is the share screen? Is that...
Third from the left.
It's the one with like the little arrow in the screen.
Yeah.
Like the little. Okay.
Probably pop up a secondary dialog box that asks for permission.
That's interesting. Google Chrome would like to record this computer screen. That's weird.
Probably not.
Ridiculous.
So, entire screen share. Screen sharing failed.
Weird. That's so weird.
That's okay. I can.
Can you send it to Andrew?
Sure.
Or me. Either one.
Let's see.
Oh, I've got Andrew's email address. I can bump it through.
Yeah, if you forward it over to me.
We're definitely live, folks.
We are definitely live. Don't worry. Honestly, I think our audience is used to this.
Yeah, they are.
They know us. They know.
They're
us.
just having a
Oops,
couple.
didn't like that.
Yeah.
Oh shit! There's
Action FOR Assange at protonmail.com.
sorry.
It's
Action.
Action FOR Assange at protonmail.com.
Don't everybody email Andrew though.
Yeah, not everybody at once. Send me your fan letters.
Yeah. But if you want to troll him, you can find him on Twitter. He likes trolls.
I do like trolls.
He does like trolls. I told him he can have all of mine.
Sent.
It'll probably take a little while.
Well, it's 1.46 megabytes. Depends on your line.
Yeah. Glenn said, there's no way there's only 22 people watching. We're also on Rockfin, but also, yes, our channel is heavily suppressed.
We have about 50 people across the whole stream, like across all of the different platforms that we have.
And we're heavily suppressed. Assange is in our title.
Yeah, that's why I always start sharing after shows, but because I think like during the show you get like suppressed in live stream stuff.
Kat said and Kat's like a long time friend of ours, and she didn't get a notification or anything. So
that's why we try to do it at the same time every week, twice a week.
But yeah, this channel's like our subscription count hasn't grown in ages.
Our Rockfin, we have over 11,000 people that follow us.
Yeah, Rockfin, we have no problems on Rockfin. None. But YouTube? Yeah.
I think I got it.
Yay. Now, if it tells you that you can't share it, I'm going to be mad.
Got it.
Yay, there it is.
Cool.
You see?
Um,
Never say never.
what part of this would you like me to go to?
So,
Can you make it bigger, Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the section of the Extradition Act that deals with denying extradition due to reasons that it would be oppressive for mental health is called Section 91. So her Section 91 ruling starts on page 89 roughly and runs through page 118 or so.
Okay. Let me do this.
Wasn't it around 0.300?
Yeah,
Bill?
they're
Section
Section 91
oppression.
oppression due to health. And so, Cathy, now that we've been through all that, the issue is Koppelman, right? And why she thought he was authoritative.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I'm not biased either. Like when she said that it was, he was protecting Stella's identity. That last interview that she did with Low-Key, that's just, that opens up your eyes to how terrifying it was for them.
Yeah.
How dangerous. She said it was like a black site.
Yeah. And they were like, to find out they're like after your baby, like your baby's diaper, like that's.
So
well, that's what the CIA were after,
the findings
apparently.
begin on page 106 with paragraph 329. Yeah, page 106, paragraph 329. Good. So,
I was muted. First, I did not accept Professor Koppelman failed in his duty to the court when he did not disclose Miss Morrison's relationship with Mr. Assange. Criminal Procedure Rule 19.2 provides that an expert must help the court achieve an overriding objective to deal with the case justly by giving objective, unbiased opinion on matters within his or her area of expertise. In this first report on 17 December 2019, Professor Koppelman describes Mrs. Morris as the follows. Mrs. Morris is a UK resident of Swedish nationality. She took a degree of law and politics at the School of Oriental and African Studies in London. and then then an MSc in Oxford. She was employed by Mr. Assange in February 2011 when he needed someone to research the Swedish case. She works with a very prominent Spanish lawyer dealing with the asylum matters, and acts as a legal researcher and coordinator. This is misleading as by the time Mrs. Morris and Mr. Assange's partner and mother of 2 children. In the report, he states subsequently, Mr. Assange commenced a close relationship with another woman, which is of continuing huge importance and support to him. This woman has remained very supportive, which greatly helped his morale in the embassy. She has 2 children. This is misleading as it implies Mr. Assange was not the father of the 2 children. Professor Kopelman was aware that Mr. Assange's children were a significant factor in the assessment of his risk of suicide. Mr. Assange was told in August 2019, "The only things stopping me from suicide were a small chance of success in his case and an obligation to his children."
Yeah, I think Bill wanted to read another part. I should correct as well. It's not Mrs. Morris, it's Ms.
Miss, sorry.
Yes. So, yeah, and then, in the next paragraph, she goes on to say that his desire to conceal the relationship was understandable. It was an understandable human response to the situation and the request. So about that December report, that was a preliminary report. Kopelman fully intended to be give full disclosure about Stella and the boys and the relationship in time. The judge never read this report before Stella became public. The final report that Kopelman submitted in August of 2020 did disclose this, and it was submitted to the court in advance of the extradition hearing with more than sufficient time. And so, the judge is like, this is really a non-issue because it was a preliminary report I never looked at. Kopelman submitted, I think, there was some back and forth after the in-court hearings of submissions on various matters. One was this, where Kopelman said, no, I was fully intending to disclose this. Ultimately, I never intended to keep this hidden from the court. And, the other thing is...
aware of, it did specify as well that the court was made aware that Stella was also the mother of the children and Julian's partner in April 2020, which is quite a long time before his evidence was heard.
And didn't the court have a bar for a period of time on even discussing Stella Morris's name? So wouldn't it have potentially put him in contempt to include her in a report in that way if the court had barred that discussion?
No, the thing was that there was a bail application.
I think the prohibition is on reporters, not on the proceedings of the court.
Yeah, she didn't want her identity to be revealed.
And I can't blame her.
When you consider what was going on with stealing the nappy and trying to establish that the child was Julian's, they felt in great danger. And so she requested, she didn't want to be in the public eye. She said she was very shy, but she was also very, very frightened. And that would have been confirming. And that did confirm, but Judge Barreto denied that request to keep her name undisclosed. Sorry, Bill.
No, it's okay. So, no, you're absolutely right. And so, this ultimately is, one of the prongs of attack on Kopelman is this issue, which is really a non-issue because it didn't affect any proceedings of the court or decision-making. They're suggesting that it shows partiality. He's not an objective expert witness. The judge ruled that it's an understandable human response. So if if Judge Baritzer calls something an understandable human response, there's she didn't show too
True.
much humanity herself otherwise, I didn't think.
Oh, that was good.
So,
Well,
honestly, as
this is
frustrated as I was with the
situation.
judge in the proceedings, I have a bit of a new perspective, delving into this ruling.
Yes.
And honestly, if you're a prosecutor and an independent medical expert witness has his conscience shocked by what's going on, that's on the prosecutor. Shame on the prosecutor, not shame on the independent medical expert witness.
Well, when the case of Daniel Ellsberg was thrown out of court, the specific comment was that the conduct had offended a sense of justice. And I think this offends a sense of normal psychiatric practice as well. That somebody's being tortured.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's facts not in dispute among all medical expert witnesses, both for the prosecution and the defense. Assange is at minimally moderately to severely depressed. He has a high risk of suicide, and his risk of suicide would be exacerbated by the very fact of extradition, let alone, once he's extradited. And that's another thing I want to bring up, which is that in the judge's ruling and in the defense filing countering the U.S. appeal, it's clear that there's a significant aspect to the ruling that says the mere decision to extradite is a significant likelihood of triggering suicide that's not controllable by Assange himself, let alone the conditions he'd be in prison in the United States. So the assurances are irrelevant in that sense, in that any decision to extradite is going to induce, serious mental distress and increase the risk of suicide considerably. So that's also part of the legal aspect of this, the Turner test. It's like they call it Proposition 5 or something. But so I just wanted to point that out, and that's another red herring. That's another reason that the assurances are a red herring.
If I could also add what I think is an important point, the focus is on whether the UK will trust the US, but it doesn't really depend on their trust. It's about Julian's trust. Will Julian trust the US? And I don't think that he has any reason. He's not he's not irrational, right? He has no reason to trust them.
Nobody has any reason to trust the United States government ever for any reason ever. Nobody. But especially not Julian Assange, but nobody ever.
No.
Ever.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it depends on who you're talking about when you say the US.
I mean, the current president of the United States called Assange a high-tech terrorist.
Yes. Which is the exact same terminology that Mitch McConnell used, by the way. I'm just saying. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell use the same rhetoric. Just saying.
Yeah, good friends in the Senate back in the day.
Yeah, they're still good friends. Let's not pretend that they're not still good friends. These people don't hate each other.
They're still good friends, just one of them's no longer in the Senate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, now that Joe has essentially joined the retirement home that we call a government, he can, as he fades back in time, remember all of the people that he's waged war with around the world for the last 40 years in fading memory.
Well, I think he's in a great position now. 350 million Americans are. He said that, Bill.
Yeah, it took a second, but.
We live in a cartoon.
Just real quick, we have, I think we have Alex on, right?
We do.
He just jumped on. He's literally at the protest.
Alex.
That's very nice. I have a lot of work to do.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm lying on the ground in the middle of a mall.
No, it's all right. No big deal. Okay, so Cathy, you guys have to go.
I think
Yes?
we do.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Hello,
I'm getting very nervous about
Yeah.
going to be live tweeting on
Yes.
Consortium News.
I'm
So
talking.
I'll catch you later. And
I'll be up and following every tweet.
Okay.
yeah. And thanks, Alex, for all the great work you do.
Yeah, thank you so
No
much.
problem. It's a
I'll
pleasure.
be sure to watch this later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you both for coming on. Seriously, that was awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll come anytime.
That was great. They were great.
So how are you, Alex? I'm super pumped. to
Hi,
have you.
Alex.
Can you hear me okay? Hello,
Yes.
everybody. How are you? Hi, Mark, as well.
Hey.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Hey. We miss
Yeah,
you.
so we just had our action in Wellington.
Awesome. How did it go?
Very good. We had about 10 people, which is not bad for such short notice, I thought. You know, and it's a midweek kind of noon, so you know, it's pretty good. I'd usually probably do 30 or so maybe at a normal action, but yeah, it was good. What was really interesting is I spoke to probably about 5 people who, one of which who knew all about it, 2 actually, and then 2 who were what they described as political junkies, and they were flabbergasted that they never heard of WikiLeaks or Julian Assange, and they said, I know about the New Zealand media backup because what you're telling me is that I don't know anything, you know, and they were quite shocked and very brought onto the campaign. So I think I've got 4 new, very passionate, recruits. So,
That's how it works.
yeah,
One person at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I think we managed to get about 11 listed today on the actual day, and there's about 2 or 3 more, 2 in Denver, 1 in Frankfurt, and another one that's coming up, I think maybe in Germany, all during the week. So they're just doing their usual weekly stuff. Oh, crikey, my battery's telling me I'm going low. If it survives. Yeah, it's all good.
No, it's amazing
Well,
that you're joining us from the street. That's one of my favorite things when
Yeah,
people.
and
Do you want me
in
to
New
walk you
Zealand-
around a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Show us what's
Yeah.
going on down there.
I'll show you. It's a beautiful day.
It does look beautiful.
Yeah. So we have a normal, very normal actually. I mean, no one's doing social distancing or anything like that here. Lunchtime in Wellington, beautiful blue day on a pedestrian mall. And what we've done is we've strung up a few signs around and we've done some yellow ribbons. Here's one that someone just gave me the other day at the last protest, which is lovely. I've seen that before, but I haven't had it in my person. And we've got our old motorway banners here. And you can see probably we've tied so yellow ribbons around as many things as we can. There's some yellow balloons as well left over from the party. We got, so, and then we've got this one over here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so we kind of got a few angles covered and everyone's looking at them, and quite a few people are asking questions, and there were 10 people here and all of them were fielding questions from people on the street. So that was, I don't even know about the other ones, so that's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's always good when you have like a last minute action and you can still get a decent turnout and all that stuff. So
Yeah, well, I had quite a few apologies and things, so that's okay. Yeah. And no Timothy to do music with. I've got my violin, but I don't think I'm going to do anything today. Yeah.
well, it's just not the same without Timothy, is it?
No.
It's just
No.
not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about tomorrow? What do you think about what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, I guess I'm pretty scared that those 2 extra.
Or I guess it's today for you. Is it
today for
for you?
us. Yeah. Those two extra items that the US wants to have on its list are probably crucial for its case. I don't know if other people have talked about that, but there are some people suggesting that we were a bit worried about if that mental health stuff comes up again, that then Stella will be brought up and smeared and the usual. I mean, it's just a whole new opportunity to bring out some more disinformation. So I'm a bit concerned. And given what's happened with the British, what is it? code secrets or whatever it's called, the bill.
Oh,
that's come
the
through.
Official Secrets Act.
Official Secrets, yeah, the Official Secrets Act in Britain looks like it's been handcrafted for Craig Murray and Julian.
Right?
Um,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, and it's just, it seems implausible to me that people don't see it as being a problem. Even things as simple as like the laws that are being introduced to protect children online. It's not like they protect them from the rubbish that they get in the media that is also damaging. And I don't just mean the lies. I mean,
Well,
exposure to stuff you
have
really
you
don't want
seen
to
the
see.
recent-
They don't have any trouble with that.
Have you seen the recent Friendly Jordy's piece? I don't know if you follow him. Basically the Australian version of Jimmy Dore. But,
Please send me a link. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, he's wonderful. But he recently, like literally in the last 4 hours, released a video outlining every piece of legislation that is either out or coming out about the national surveillance state, and how they've literally in Australia slashed funding for absolutely every aspect of Australia's life, and took all of that technology and put it into surveillance, like to the point that they defunded coral reef studies and then hired that scientist into the surveillance state to then make algorithms for predictive human modeling instead of predictive coral growth.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the link to that because I think he's a super, super cool content creator.
Oh, great. It would be great to get some Southern Hemisphere news that wasn't so polluted.
You'll probably even get more laughs out of it than I do because I don't even know much about
I'll probably
like
get the in
Australian
joke.
politics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of laws coming in with a lot of pretense of, protecting children, and it looks all good on the surface, but if you actually do read it, it's pretty shockingly about, well, whatever we want to remove, we can remove, and whatever we consider is harmful, because I guess you could frame anything as being harmful for children.
Yep.
Especially in this medical nightmare. And I was talking to other people as well about, have you heard the stories from UK Column that 13 million people might be on the waiting list in the NHS?
No.
And I was talking to one of the activists in London who said, yeah, that's just fear to justify removing the health system from pretty much so I know you guys have been trying to fight for Medicare for all forever, but it certainly looks to me like the reason they didn't give it to you, is because this was coming. Was because of all this that was coming, and that they knew they had to just do holding place activities, and the same has happened in the environmental world as well. I don't know if you know, but I've been teaching sustainable architecture for years. I actually, for almost a joke, I applied for a government architecture job today.
You're not even allowed at like your government buildings.
No, it's an architectural writer, because I really want to improve my writing skills, because I feel like I could move into journalism if I knew a bit more about properly researching and peer reviewing other research. So I went for the job, but I told the agent who approached me, actually, because I had the perfect CV on paper and on LinkedIn. And he said, you seem like an ideal candidate, and you've worked for them before, and you got a scholarship from them. And I was like, yeah, but since then, I've said a few things that they probably won't like. Because there's been all these attempts to bring in greener building regs. And my first job in New Zealand was actually peer reviewing the building regs as a research fellow at Victoria University. And before I even landed in the country in 2006, they had removed the peer review process altogether from that research. And one of the other things they said they were meant to be delivering as part of that research was making it publicly accessible so that, normal laymen can understand it. It's not just going to stay in a report, under tables and academic language. And so I set that as my mission, and I failed because no one wanted to make energy efficiency of buildings public. The Property Council didn't want it. I went to ECA, they didn't want it. All the government agencies that should be keen to, it was kind of like a augmented reality using big data and GIS mapping. I made an automated model of all the buildings in New Zealand, automated, so it was just a quick process. But then I applied colours to them, like fridges. You know how you have fridges that are red for the big energy guzzlers and then green for the low energy guzzlers. And the idea was that people could literally look through their phone, almost like a lens, to see the energy use, benchmark energy use of buildings, so that you could assess, is my workplace, is this building I'm going to rent, is this Is this an efficient building or is it a guzzler? And you can see from actually what they've done here, the building rigs are so light greenwash. It's a joke. Like even like just doing a breathable building or doing something out of natural materials or having a green roof or any of those really green things, like actually trying to stop pollution and use of too many materials that are nasty. They were all, you're just not allowed to do it. And so that gave me the heads up that there was no political will. And I think what they've been doing is holding a place, because now we're going to have this green, but it's going to be in their terms. And it's the opposite of really any kind of green. I mean, if we're talking about climate lockdowns or anything, it really is the direct opposite of what it says on the box, what would really be good is if we were self-sufficient and more insular, I guess, in that we had communities that were producing food and energy, and we imported the minimum and we exported what we could, you know what I mean? And they just reassess that. But they're not interested in that. They want a centralized green economy, which is in the terms of the 0.01%, and will further enrich them. The carbon credit scheme, all of that is a con.
And
I
the
say that
prosecution of Julian is
for many years. So,
yeah, no, I see the prosecution of Julian as part of that same Great Reset agenda, because not only are they trying to be able to control every aspect of your life, they want to be able to control all of the information that you can get. And
and I mean, take away debate.
Yep.
Take away debate altogether. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've just been handed some flowers from a random stranger on the street.
Oh,
I'm just live. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Oh my god.
What a sweet guy.
Oh my god.
How lovely.
That has never happened to me before at a protest, so that's
And you're live. Totally random. Amazing randomness, but yeah, that's awesome.
Oh my
That's funny.
god. Yeah, what a nice gesture. I feel a bit touched. But anyway, yes, I think that basically key to getting the Great Reset to happen was silencing Julian and also scaring other journalists. So really, I think that's the one thing that really gets through to people who still don't even know anything about WikiLeaks or the good that they've done. Understanding now, seeing what we're seeing now in the misinformation and the craziness and the confusion, I just know that if we were doing that with Julian's voice, we would be in a hell of a more clear position, if you like. We all think that, I know. Maybe we're biased, but I don't know. Maybe he couldn't stop it, but I think he could have.
Well, it's not even just that he could stop it, and it's not even just. It's so much bigger than just Julian, because you're right. It's not just about silencing him. It's about silencing dissent. Period. It's about shutting. It's about shutting all of us up. Essentially, we've said it before. The United States is seeking global jurisdiction over information and journalism, and that sounds very dramatic, but that's reality. Like they really want to control everything that you can see, read, hear, know, think. They want to control what you think. They want to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's becoming like a very, it's already a sophisticated system of propaganda, but they're really honing it in. They're really eliminating all other aspects of information so that you can't even inform yourself anymore. I mean, if you just look at COVID, for example, and I don't want to like get anybody's panties in twists. I don't care what you think about COVID. I don't care. Like you do your thing. But what we cannot deny is the fact that it's being used to take away our rights. It's being used to manipulate us. I mean, that's really just not debatable. That's happening. And that's just one example.
People can't see it. It's crazy.
It is nuts. It's frustrating.
And even some of the Assange supporters maybe can't see it, but and I think this comes down to the behavioral psychology that is being applied. Like UK column has also done a lot of work on this, Brian Jerish, about how we are now witnessing not just lies from media, but we are witnessing a use of psychologists to use applied behavioral psychology and subversion of words and meanings in order to do this to us. And I don't know if they think they're doing it for the Great Reset and they think that's a green thing and they know about it, or they don't know about it and they're just going along with it. I don't know. But the result of it is apparent even in my own family. I'm sure everyone's having those wedge issues coming in, and what's scary, even like talking to neighbors who are really, really, very literate in politics and everything, is that if you start to talk about anything that resembles this sort of agenda or a conspiracy, so-called, it's like they glaze over and they will not take any information from you. They won't look at it. They don't want to look at it because it's puppy dogs and rainbows or nothing. You can't, they just don't want to engage with the material. And I'm finding that even in my own family, and it's frightening because I know these people aren't like that. I'm finding it with hippie friends that have been the most anti-war Assange supporters, maybe on the periphery, and they've turned into authoritarians, like shoving stuff down your throat and telling you how to think and not even looking when you give them a little piece of evidence, and they can't look at it. And the other day I was trying to implore with my neighbor and get him to engage with some of the materials, and very simple. And each time he just cut me off. And then eventually I just went, look, my family and my kids are fully vaxxed, okay, Joe? I'm 100% vaxxed. And I think for a second he thought I meant CV as well. But what I was just talking about, in the past, I have always done what the government told me to do and give my kids this and that. And now I'm feeling mortified, of course, because I'm doing more research and it's horrible. But the minute I said that to him, it was like the veil lifted. It was like suddenly he could hear me again. For a split second, I just saw it. And it really interests me because it did suggest that there's this kind of really active applied behavioral psychology going on, or linguistic programming. It's frightening that. Just the glaze over effect from people that you think should know better.
Well, you have the same thing if you talk about what the hell the CIA's done, right?
Yeah.
So you try to explain to someone the case of Khalid al-Masri or what happened in Abu Ghraib, right? And people just blank out. If you talk about the use of social media to manipulate people's opinions, they're like, oh, you're crazy, while they just glue themselves back to their device.
Stella just said something similar to that in her interview with Loki when she was like, you know, if you tell people, the ordinary person, like what's happened to Julian Assange and the spying that happened in the embassy and all of these things that are going on in his case, it sounds crazy. Like we do this all the time because we have to talk to people all the time. It does sound crazy. It sounds like a bad spy movie. Like Hollywood couldn't write, you know what I mean? But that's what's happening.
I think it comes down to the tactic of not red pilling people, but purple pilling them, or just giving them little snippets and sound bites until they're ready. Yes. Because you just cannot bring a horse to water. You can't, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah. Yeah. So it's those snippets of things that they really can relate to themselves that seem to get through, or giving them a bit of cognitive dissonance by twisting what they think about you by explaining something like I just did to my neighbor, which was like, hey, you're assuming I'm a dirty anti-vaxxer. I don't care whether you are or not. I mean, like, I don't have any opinion about that, actually. But his assumption was stopping him from being able to hear me. And as soon as I lifted that assumption, so I'm wondering if there's something that could work on the Assange case in that way as well.
I think a lot of people come into it with, like, their own, received opinions. They're giving, it's not really their own thoughts. It's just what they've been force fed, and and their friends say it, and their social circle talks about it in a certain way. And so they do too. And, it just becomes it's a behavioral almost. Yeah.
It's not necessarily an insult to them, though. I mean,
no,
the normal
we're all
people,
susceptible.
Well, if you're a normal person and you're just a nice person, it's very hard to even consider that there are people who are capable of these disgusting things, right?
That's right. Yeah. So it's actually the people with a lot of empathy, and perhaps, in some people that I know that are having trouble with this, I think it's my ability to jump around and I can't hold a normal conversation and not go off on a tangent suddenly and know where I am, because my mind is thinking on a very big, broad, agenda-like scale and connecting dots, whereas other people, they just want to be delivered one fact, and then they want to have the source, and they can only deal with that. So you can't then tie that to another thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. So that it is one of the
That's
barriers,
one of the most frustrating things. We were just talking about this the other day. I don't remember which show it was on because there's a lot of them. But it's people. I think we were talking about the fact that Fiorella got attacked for bringing up Julian Assange at the March for Medicare for All rally.
Right.
And people they're not able to make the connection of how what's happening to Julian Assange directly impacts our ability to fight for anything else that we care about. So if you care about getting healthcare for all, one of the biggest threats that you face is combating the propaganda machine and being able to get information out and educate people about what universal healthcare means and what it will do. I mean, look at how the misinformation has been used in the healthcare issue by itself. They lied. Wendell Potter lied about the Canadian healthcare system to confuse the American populace about what that means. Like, it's a real thing, and it really does impact your ability. So if we take away press freedom, and you can't educate people about what your position is, you're screwed. You're done before you even get started.
Well,
and I don't think a lot of people connect that,
isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I noticed the other day, I shared this with you, Andrew. I saw some kind of QAnon type drop about a Canadian court, and I went to investigate on Twitter to see who is this person, because it'd be great if it was true, but it just doesn't ring true. Oh, the documents are lost. Oh, we proved this, but we don't know where it is now. And when I delved in and looked at their most recent tweets, I found one that had millionmaskmarch.com and julianassange.com. And then I knew immediately that they are disinformation agents, and they're doing it all over again. They're creating the effect of a story which is juicy and everyone wants to believe. So they share it avidly and they believe it hard, and then they look at any other facts that will back that up. And the result of that is that then you can be discredited and you can be called a crazy loon conspiracy theorist or a right-winger. This is what is happening, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
I deal with it all the time. I know you deal with it all the time.
Yeah,
it's a problem, and I don't know. It's really frustrating. I don't know how to fight back. Is your phone about to die? I just remembered your phone's about to die. Oh,
Yeah.
That is a great face. Somebody screenshot it. Actually, don't. That's mean. Well, bye, Alex. Yeah, it was good talking to you. You do that. Are you muted?
I am muted.
I was just kidding too. I was totally just kidding. I didn't actually think you were muted.
I was. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, I love Alex. You guys should go follow her. She's at Greenweaver Arch, right? Greenweaver Arch.
Yep.
And also the Candles for Assange page.
And she does an awesome job getting people set up to go out and do events for the 11th.
Yes.
We didn't have many internationally, and it still managed to pull up to 12 to 15, I believe, if not more.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a very last minute thing, because this was just announced not very long ago that this hearing was going to take place. Like, the Assange case is now to the point where they're just kicking the can down the road. So it's, like 6 weeks or a month or 2 months or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's a hearing in a couple weeks. And I think it's kind of going to be that way for a while, unfortunately, unless people get in the streets and start getting loud and we can get them out. That'd be cool too. So yeah, go follow her at Candles for Assange. She does a great job. I don't know how she keeps it all organized, but she collects all of the global events and gets them organized. Oh, no.
We were just flattering you to our chat. She froze.
No, she's frozen or dead, or not dead, but her phone's dead.
The flowers were really a bomb.
Poison flowers, like a Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Poppies. That's funny. I say dumb stuff all the time.
I should add that there was one more event. It was actually today on the 10th in my country. They did it separately. They protested for Julian Assange at 2 big newspaper buildings.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't on the list, but it was today on the 10th. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, if you ever want to find an Assange event near you, Candles for Assange is your spot. That's where you go. Yeah. She does a great job keeping all those organized. And if you ever want to hold an event, contact her. She will help you figure out your graphics and all of that stuff and get you rolling. And she'll help promote, which then makes me promote, which makes Steve promote. You know what I mean? Like it's like a, it kind of branches like what do they call it? A pebble in a pond or whatever. The little ripple effect. All the Assange people will start sharing your event. And that's how we get the word out. So if you want to hold an event, get a hold of Alex and she'll help you get started. She's great. Do you want to go ahead and do whatever news we had, or do you think she's going to pop back in? I think her phone's probably dead.
I think her phone's probably extra dead.
Homegirl's been in the streets for all day.
Because it's only like mid-afternoon over there too.
Yeah,
I think they're
which is
15
weird.
Hours ahead of us, so they're already they could almost tell us.
They're in the future. Alex is in the future. It's very strange.
It doesn't look that great.
No, but I wasn't expecting much, so.
I don't have a whole bunch of news. There's a couple pieces about Julian's case, but we literally touched on all of it for the most part with Cathy.
Yeah.
There is the
I can share
Intolerance
some.
Network's leaks, but to be fair, I did not have a chance to even read anything about them, so I don't want to.
Oh, the newest leaks?
Yeah, I don't want to
It's
pretend
not. There's
like I
not a
know that.
lot.
We
I
can
mean,
still
there's not
talk
a
about
lot.
them, but I don't
Yeah.
know the subject matter, so I can't.
There's not a lot, but we can. Hold on. I have information about. Oh, that's not what I wanted. God damn it. Sorry, guys. Do. Oh, so we did hear about Julian, or not? Jesus Christ. Craig
Welcome
Murray.
back.
Oh, she back?
I got it sorted. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Oh. Just kidding. Oh, okay. Here's one of them.
I might just leave her in this time, see what happens.
Okay, so we got an update on Craig Murray. Craig is doing good and is being treated very respectfully by both staff and fellow inmates. He's keeping his spirits up, spends I'm guessing it spends his time writing a lot. Thank you for asking. So that was our update on that. There we also have blah 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 blah. Maybe that was it. There, you can write to him now. Oh, here, maybe it's in this thread. You can write to him. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is the address where you can write to Craig Murray. Previously, they were asking you to email this email address here, which I did before, but now I think you can just write to him yourself. And then there's also a volunteer and family service run provided by the below website that allows user to send emails. A single message costs 40p and an additional 25p means a reply sheet is included. So if you would like to do that, you can go to emailaprisoner.com and then use his prisoner number here. So I think that getting letters, messages of solidarity, encouragement, all of that stuff would be very helpful to him. So yeah, I'll make sure I tweet this out again. I've tweeted it before, but I'll make sure I do that again so everybody can write to him if you want. Daniel Hale is still in the process of getting transferred around. So I think currently he's asking nobody to write because I think in a couple weeks there's potential for him to be going elsewhere. I guess I can double check on that, but I think that currently he's not asking for any mail, but once I find out where he's at or where he's going to be at, I will make sure that I get the address out to everybody so that we can write to him as well. That's not what I want. Oh, so here's the tweet. Here's the tweet where, oh, God bless America. Dude. Okay, so I told you earlier about the fundraiser one. We're thinking of launching a fundraiser soon to help Daniel pay off his heavy debts from the years of games by the government. Would you contribute? Let us know by replying here. So yeah, please go to that. Tell them that you are willing to help contribute, or at least like share the link. And then also, Daniel Hale was transferred from Alexandria to Northern Neck Regional Jail last week. Right now, he asks that you do not send him any mail. He does not know when he will be transferred onwards, likely next week, and will likely not be able to take anything with him. So no mail for Daniel Hale right now. But once I have like a more permanent address, I will get that out to you guys. Maybe we'll do a letter writing campaign.
That would be fun. We haven't done a call to action in a while, actually.
Well, let's do that.
We should.
That will be our call to action. Writing letters. We can do one, like one a month for both of them. Or is that maybe more? Twice a month? I don't like to give too
I just
much
think
homework.
it's crazy that they charge you money to email someone.
I know.
Like
that's the prison system, though.
Thing.
I mean, it's for profit, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's prison for profit. That's where we're at. Even in the UK.
Yeah, it's
bastards.
You know? But yeah, well, it really helps them. I mean, they receive like a letter. I mean, yeah.
Do we have a Commander X address? We do, don't we?
We should.
Hold on.
You're much better at looking things up than me.
I'm just much better at Twitter than you, dude.
Someone asked, why can't Assange get emailed or get emails? I don't know.
That's a great question.
They don't
It's
even.
a great fucking question.
I don't think he has access to the internet. I know the laptop that they gave him had all the keys glued down.
Yeah, I was about to say that. How can he even read his emails then?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have that set up for him.
Yeah, which, make some noise about that. Email the prison or tweet at people and make noise, be loud about it. We got to be loud about this shit.
One of the things I find weird, well, not weird, one of the bullshit things in this whole situation, right? You have, in Craig Murray's case, and in almost all, as far as I know, as an American, UK court cases, they have the call-in phone line where you can call in and listen. That's how Julian's case was for a good long time. I believe Craig Murray's case, the normal person could have just called the UK and listened into it. Julian's case, they're still putting behind an access wall to where they do the coverage, but it's only certain people that get to have access to certain things to be able to get the information out. Which I'm glad that the certain people that we know have access to it, but overall I think it is a big detriment to the system that this isn't just publicly available for everyone, since they do have a video link going.
Yeah. Julian is obviously considered some kind of threat for some reason.
For some reason, yeah.
Not sure why.
Not even sure. Like I get that they find him to be a threat, but what the fuck is he supposed to do in Belmarsh to him that he can't email?
That's how scared they are, right?
I know.
Okay, well, technically he's just a publisher, right? I mean, WikiLeaks still receives submissions. There's other people at WikiLeaks who could publish.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think
I think this is honestly, it's more about scaring other people. The way that they're treating him is more about scaring other people. I don't think it's necessary. I've said this before. Yes, they want to shut him up. He's Julian Assange. Of course, he's pissed off a lot of really powerful people. But I think, honestly, the treatment that he is receiving is more aimed at sending a message to anybody who might have the courage to do what Julian did. They don't want this to ever happen again. So they want to discourage that as much as possible. And if you can torture a guy in broad daylight and nobody will say shit about it, it's a pretty clear warning. Like, I wouldn't want to go through that shit. I can't find a goddamn address and it's driving me nuts. I'm just going to text Glory or something.
Yeah, and especially if he is ruled innocent, whatever, at the end, right? Then the scare campaign worked even more, because then they showed what they can do to an innocent person. How they can keep an innocent person locked up for this long. And then every journalist will think, well, I'm innocent. I can be locked up like this too. I can disappear somewhere in a high security prison. And so, yeah, the scare tactic is... I think it's already working, though. I mean,
yes.
Well, we were talking
100%
about the Great Reset and the agenda that's getting pushed. Speaking of Great Reset, our friend Alex is returning. But
maybe
if you look at Julian and the work that he does and the situation that he put himself in for the ability to publish information, it's almost like a global barometer on totalitarianism. And it wasn't until after the February-March round of trials for Julian that the media decided to go coronavirus crazy. It was literally when we were driving home from Washington, D.C., after there had been total media hegemony ignoring the first 5 days of Julian's trial, that the U.S. media then started to pivot to coronavirus. So I think that chilling effect has gone past a chilling effect, and at this point they get to figure out who they want to unfreeze to be their swamp monsters of the week in the media.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, yeah, I think it just didn't want me to do live stream with 10% battery, so I've still got battery, but I'm plugged into the car now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doing it live.
You hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. We're good.
Nice. All right. so I don't know what you've been talking about, but I'm sure it's been important. So I'm sorry you missed it.
I don't remember what we were talking about either now.
Yeah.
The
It
chilling
was
effect in the
rather lovely
media.
to have a random stranger come up and give me flowers on the
That was
street.
so
Like,
nice.
it's like an advert, isn't it? Like how
That was so
Do
nice.
you want flowers? Protest.
Was he
for
cute,
Assange.
Alex? Was he cute? I didn't get a good look at him. Was he cute?
He was like a sort of grey hippie, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. If a guy gives you flowers, I gotta know if he's cute.
Concerned and
Concerned.
interested and happy that I was doing something.
All right then. I like it. Oh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
so my wonderful activists are currently tidying up the site and getting all the banners down, and then they're going to come here, and then I'm going to give them a lift to the uni. So yeah, that's me. So what else have you been talking about though?
We were just talking about how what's happening to Julian is really more about the chilling effect
Right.
that it's going to have on other people, that it's already had on other people. I think in just the state of journalism in general, I think right now is really depressing and actually kind of terrifying. I guess depressing isn't even really the real word because it's terrifying. Like today, I just saw The Hill put out a thing saying something like because Biden has moved left, his numbers are plummeting. And I'm like, moved left? In what universe has this man? What are you talking about? But that's where we're at. Like, that's the level of propaganda that we're dealing with.
Well, maybe in towards the communist dictator that they think it's going to be. But I mean, the right are claiming that, and the left are claiming something else. But well, they're in denial, I guess, in the States in some circumstances, aren't they?
The
but
left.
yeah, I think that. Yeah, the fake left. I mean, I think the history of the left really is epitomized in what happened in England. And I guess it's because I know about it more than other countries because I was there at the time. But Tony Blair, who, by the way, Jacinda Ardern was the senior policy advisor, the New Zealand Prime Minister currently was the senior policy advisor for Tony Blair while he was doing his worst war crimes during the Iraq War. And what does that say? I mean, everyone thinks she's killing us with she's being so kind, but it's really not. And so, yeah, there's a lot of division caused, making you think that it's the communists or it's this. But I mean, in a sense, I mean, you could say that if you're in a situation where there's no free press and you don't own anything, if we're going down that route that they're suggesting at the World Economic Forum, then you could describe it as communism, but really it's a technocracy, isn't it? It's a technocracy. Yeah. I
think the problem is that words have no meaning anymore.
Right,
and all of these labels have been co-opted and bastardized, and like like people throw around the word progressive. Like Nancy Pelosi says she's progressive. Well, then what the fuck does progressive mean? Because she's like a Republican, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So it's like that's why I hate labels. I despise labels.
Well, what I was going to say about Tony Blair was that he really epitomized the Trojan horse taking over the left, because there's nothing left about Tony Blair,
right?
Really. And so it's this idea that what left has twisted itself to, and you can argue that right has twisted it to something else as well. But all these labels are stupid. But I do think that the chilling effect is observable. And in some senses, that brings it home to how it affects you. And no one could disagree that we're in a state of confusion in the media. You cannot pretend that everything is fine, even if you're lapping it all up. And because of the, constant changes and chaoticness of it all. And I think that's part of the confusion, isn't it? But no one can be sitting here observing this and not agree that the media is confusing us. So then if you tie that terrible state of affairs to Julian, to the fact that now journalists are too scared to tell the truth unless they've got balls of steel. That's where we're at. We've got balls of steel, basically. But there's not many of us, not enough.
No.
Not I mean, like, there's plenty of people who come to protest, and way more if I could do a better job of promotion. But given that I'm always concentrating on the global stuff, I have been really trying to encourage someone to take over Wellington for me, and it's nigh impossible because no one wants their head on the block to be an organizer right now of protests. It just doesn't look very savory, does it? So again, another aim satisfied, isn't it? That's where we're at. And so I think if people can see just how confusing it is and just how dangerous it is to be confused and to not trust your institutions and to not trust any of those things and not know. People really don't know because they can't understand how it's going like it is and got the information that they've got. So they can't, it's cognitive dissonance, isn't it? You can't sort of.
Well, we had Thomas Massey, U.S. House of Representatives member, literally come out and say today, or recently, I don't know if it was today, but that he doesn't understand how we got forced to the point that the only way to get the truth is to communicate to the people directly around you. That if you want to know the truth about what is happening with people getting vaccinated and with people getting sick, you literally can't turn on anything or watch anything to get information about what is actually happening on the ground, to where you literally have to go and get firsthand accounts from friends and family members. And it's Julian's situation is the same way because of the number of us that are fighting for it, to where we almost feel like crazy people as we're like, I tried to send an email to invite every House of Representatives member for the state of Ohio to a protest, and I'm like, I don't know how many more paragraphs I should write explaining what the hell's going on and why they should care, because it turned into a 5-paragraph rant about the CIA, and I was like, I just sound like a lunatic. Like, I have to scale this back. This is nuts.
Yes.
The purple pilling, we've got to do it. Yeah, bite-sized bits. Release it, disclosure, bit by bit, isn't it?
My biggest problem is I just get too worked up and I get like overly dramatic, and it's because it's dramatic. I can't help but like, you want to shake people. Like, do you understand what this means? Do you understand?
I think we both come from that agitator feeling, the frustration is how we're able to project so loudly, and then you've got other people that can do it from a much more mild-mannered.
That's not me.
I can only project properly.
And we need both. We need both because
right.
People need to be a little bit shamed and a little bit made fun of, by certain people, and it doesn't do you well. I mean, I know you should address these things with love and all this stuff, but it's just not me. I'm so over it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, no, I have no more patience for that. Listen, I tried. I did for a long time. I did, but I'm done now. I don't have that anymore. I'm out of patience. I'm not a very patient person to begin with. And so yeah, that's not me. I'm not like the calm, let's have a, patient, calm, organized discussion about, no, I'm going to get mad and I'm going to yell and I'm going to be frustrated. And, I know my role, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm nothing if not painfully self-aware. And I realize I'm not that person. I'm just not.
And we need both types of people because there's different people that respond to different things. And maybe they need someone to shout at them to wake them up, but they're not going to be happy with those people and never talk to them again. But then they need the next person to come along and gently talk after that point, or the other way around. But we certainly need to make sure that we're making the best of our abilities, and I guess it's our passion, Misty, that gives us the energy to do it, to blurt it all out. And I guess we're going to get accused to be crazy because we're trying to feed them so much information in a panic.
Yes.
And I know I could do better at that, but it is a panic. And
I have gotten better at it. I will say that. I'll give myself a tiny bit of credit. I have gotten better at it because before I used to do what you're talking about, where you just like all of it is like verbal diarrhea and like the whole history of WikiLeaks just like comes out. I've gotten better at like learning how to like the elevator pitch thing. So I've gotten better. And I think that's honestly come from Fault Lines Radio has me on to talk about Julian Assange and then recently to talk about Craig Murray. And so I've had to like force because you only have 15 minutes. So I have to force myself to like figure out a way to get as much information as I can in 15 minutes without overwhelming people. But like tomorrow I get to go on a show on Fred Hampton Leftist with Compton J, and we're going to do like a deep dive. So I get to do the whole like verbal diarrhea thing. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I got a radio interview while I was there today as well. I forgot to tell you. I got another radio interview with Access Radio.
Nice.
So as opposed to just getting 4 new members of the team, we've also got an existing member who was inspired to have me back on the radio. So that's this Sunday at Access Radio in Wellington, and it will be released as a podcast too. So
that's awesome.
About 25 minutes or something, and it's a pretty big radio station here. It's not huge, but it's okay. It's not one of the mainstream ones anyway. She does a program called something with social change. Oh gosh, I've forgotten now because it's been a while. been on.
So on a side note, someone in chat asked, they said that they want us, they wish we had closed captioning on our program, and I feel like that would be some of the most ridiculous things you could possibly read.
That would probably be some of the most. It's some of the most ridiculous things I say. So, like Andrew, that would be fun. I would actually like that a lot. We can look into it. I've always wanted to. I don't know how to go about that. I know that there's like apps and stuff that you can use, but I need to do some like legit research because I don't want it to be like some janky, terrible closed caption where it's like they can't understand us. And the biggest problem is too that there's a lot of talking over each other. Because we are all very excited and passionate people. So there's a lot of like blabbering. So we'll look into it. I would love to be able to do that and, have some kind of like transcription or something.
I bet you my Australian, Kiwi, London accent is really confusing as well for some Americans. So I apologize.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know how that works.
And also,
I would love to be able to do that though. Cause I would love to be able to make the show more accessible to everybody. We need everybody.
But
we need
when
everybody.
it goes on YouTube, doesn't it put captions on it automatically? I mean, the shit ones.
I think it does. I don't know if we have it set on that. Do you turn it on? I mean, it might be ridiculous. We're just warning you, but it might be helpful at some points.
But you don't have to turn it on. So it's only. And I mean, my father's deaf and he can't hear a thing, and he can only really engage with things that have got captions, even if they're bad. And because he can lip read, even on Zoom calls and things, it is possible to kind of figure it out what was being said in most cases. And it has got a lot better than it used to be. It used to be a whole lot worse, the sort of auto captioning. So, yeah.
I know there are different apps and stuff that you can use too that are like somewhat better than just the YouTube like basic thing. But I don't know. It's cost. How much does that cost? How much, you know what I mean? So.
And it certainly never comes out live, not on anyone's. It's never there when it's live, but it does come in later. Yeah,
on the videos. On like the recorded. Yeah, the playbacks or whatever. That's a good idea. We'll look into it. Maybe we can just turn it on in the settings and just see how it works out, Andrew. Yep. Why not?
Well, someone says ABB has it. Well, I can tell you, none of us did that.
Right.
Uh-oh, dude.
I guess if you put captions on, your video is more searchable for danger birds, so that is the downside, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're already heavily suppressed, so I'm not super worried about that. We're not monetized, so we're not worried about that either. You guys should help share, like, hey, everybody in the chat, share the YouTube page and try to get us out of the algorithm thing, because like our subscription, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I'm honestly just waiting for the day where YouTube turns us off and we're rock only at this point.
That's coming.
Yeah, especially with Nico being.
We'll use YouTube as long as possible, but Hey, Glory Jones is in the chat.
Hey.
Yay, Glory!
Hi, Glory Jones.
Hey, I've just got to make sure that my two lads can find my car, so hopefully this isn't going to cut out again from no battery, because they're packing up the protest for me. So
that's funny.
Take a little tour of Wellington Central again. So
that's all right. We like it.
I like the gas pipes. That was pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Totally. Oh, I should check my element too to see if I got a address for X. Oh yeah, here it is. I got it now.
What's happening with X? Because I've been talking about, that the combination of thinking about the Mexican asylum offer and then also thinking at the same time about Commander X being, do we know that the Mexican president had anything to do with his arrest?
For sure. I think he had to have, because he was essentially kidnapped from Mexico. So I would think that there has to be some sort of agreement with the Mexican government in order for that to be a thing that's possible. So yeah, he was
Which
just like
they could question the worthiness of the Mexican asylum offer, especially given the timing. I think that after Ecuador,
we can't really trust anybody, honestly, because we thought Ecuador was going to be like a safe place, and that was not the case. So I don't think that we can really trust anybody at this point. So
true. Yeah. Okay.
That's unfortunate.
So I found my lovely lad.
Last court date was a few weeks back, and they basically said, "Hey, we're just going to delay because
Yeah,
they don't know how to do
they
evidence.
basically, the prosecution they basically, the prosecution admitted that they don't really have their case together, and so it was well, okay, we need to figure out how when there's time in the court schedule, and so I think is it October 3rd?
October 13th, I believe.
13th.
October 13th.
I keep saying 3rd. I don't know why.
I
Okay,
was
so
saying
October
15th for a while, so don't feel too bad.
I am so bad at like keeping. It's a lot of dates to keep straight. So yeah, October 13th.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. October 13th is his next court date. And yeah, and like I just put if anybody wants it, the addresses in the chat that you can write to him. I think that they were going to try to figure out, because I think X can video chat with people too. So
Glory
I think that they were.
U.S. Embassy official is involved in the initial kidnapping.
Okay.
And it's October 12th at 9
Oh,
a.m.
October 12th. Damn it, dude.
Wrong. I gotta write that down.
We're so bad. There's just too many dates, y'all. Honestly, there's just too many dates.
That's why
Well,
I
I
haven't
have
added
to
anyone.
say, I can tell something
Glory-
to the campaign. I can tell you something for Commander X campaign that I did yet last night.
Okay, yeah, do it.
I spoke to Nicky Haga, who's New Zealand's foremost investigative journalist. He's famous because he published a book called Dirty Politics, and there's a lot of other things that he's done that's been wonderful. He also gave evidence in Julian's trial. He also is part of the big petition from the journalists of 1,500 or so credentialed journalists signing support for Assange. So I had a little chat to him. I just invited him to today. I told him about the Aotearoa for Assange, because they've got a petition which I would really love. I haven't got the link with me right now, but you could search it. Action Station in New Zealand is hosting a petition for Julian's asylum again, and they were going to do a press conference with. Can you? I'm sorry. So they are hosting a petition for the asylum, and they wanted to do a press conference today, but that hasn't happened. We're going to do it in the future, and I think that's better from a timing perspective. From my sense,
where would I find the link for that, Alex?
Actionstation.org is a New Zealand petition site. If you go there, you will find a New Zealand asylum petition by them. They're going to do a press conference. They've been John Shipton and Gabriel are already keen and going to do it, as is the New Zealand lawyer, as is Nicky Haga. And Nicky Haga is really excited to meet with John Shipton. He was really excited and wanted to do a Zoom chat, which is great because Nicky Haga is normally just a landline guy. he doesn't do social media or anything like that. And he told me some interesting stories about what he's busy with at the moment, which is he's physically trying to get people out of Afghanistan at the moment, trying to rescue them. And that's his focus. He's kind of advocacy now. He's not even writing about it. He's just getting on with whatever he needs to do, the calls he needs to make. And so part of that conversation, I happened to mention about the Mexican asylum timing, the fact that the New Zealand asylum timing wasn't that great either with the open letter from John. Optically anyway, even though it's a great gesture, we want that to happen and we want them to talk about it. But the timing is really important. And the problem is people want to jump on the the media buzz of the moment, don't they? They want to jump on that because that's the only way you're going to get New Zealand media to look at it, is if there's a media site, if it's a news cycle, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so what I said was, well, I bring into question the genuineness of the Mexican asylum offer because of what happened to Commander X. And then I told him all about Commander X. So at least Nicky Haga knows. I don't know if he'll ever do anything about it, but I'll send him some information by email to follow it up. If anyone can give me a good set of data for that, and I can, really reliable, and then I can give it to him and we may get him to cover it, which would be amazing. Because Nicky Haga has suffered from massive blackouts here too, given all the stuff that he's done for Assange, the hearing, giving evidence, the petition, but also with the book Dirty Politics that exposed John Key's corruption. He got an illegal search of his home and his computer confiscated and all his materials, journalistic materials, confiscated by New Zealand police. And because he's got a good platform and he is well regarded here, like people love him, he got a huge payout. We don't even know how much it was kept, but I think it was big, and the New Zealand police had to pay up because it's a sad thing that it's bloody taxpayers' money, isn't it? But the good thing, I suppose, is that he was compensated for that gross occurrence. So yeah, so I don't know if that, I hope it helps the Commander X campaign. I did want him to understand that perhaps we shouldn't trust the Mexican offer too much. I thought that was important for him to understand. And I was asking about timing for the New Zealand push for the petition. But if we could get as many international people out there to sign it, I would really love that.
I just put it in the chat and I tweeted
Right.
it. So
yeah, because Free Assange New Zealand's obviously been going since 2018. And we started off with our petition, which is an emergency 6-week petition. And when we got 2,200 signatures, we got it into Parliament. It was assessed by what is it? Oh God, I can't even remember the name of the board that looked at it, but they threw it out on the basis of no jurisdiction. But the funny thing was, we didn't ask them to offer asylum. We asked them to discuss it. So they wouldn't even have the jurisdiction to discuss it in Parliament. And of course, we were just trying to get them to sit on the fence, like stop sitting on the fence and take a side so that we know where they're at, you know. Do you want to listen now to Victoria? We can drive and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which bit of Victoria? Sorry, I'm going to take him to Victoria Uni.
Alex, you can go.
Okay.
You're so cute. I love you. No, but thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing all the work that you do. You know that we love you. And thanks for being out there today. Yeah, it was
pleasure.
amazing. Yeah, and
Pleasure.
I'm so
And we've
happy you got
another
flowers.
action in Auckland. There's another
Okay.
action today in Auckland going on at the US consulate at the same time that we had ours. So I'll get
Cool.
some pictures of that up too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And go
Aotearoa
put your flowers in water.
Yeah. So Aotearoa for Assange, Free Assange New Zealand, Candles for Assange are my accounts. And sorry, not all my accounts. Aotearoa for Assange are a group of, they've got new energy. Do you know what I mean? They kind of come from a position of, they're not cynical yet. They think that the media just hasn't had the time to cover the case. And he's even talked to journalists and, he's doing a great job. He's talking to Amnesty Australia, Amnesty New Zealand, and got them on board a bit more. So yeah, it's good. He's got the energy, but I think there's a certain area where we kind of need to, we're cynical because we've been doing it for a while. That's the problem, isn't it? So
it is. I love when I find like people who are fresh. That's always nice.
Yeah.
We need those people.
Yeah.
That was
And
one
so
thing I
my
didn't
other channel
understand
is
when we first
Alex
started.
Hills.
Because there was a couple people that were like, hey, it's super good to have a new fresh group involved. Like, I'm super happy that there's a new crew starting. And I'm like, oh, like, cool. And then, like, 2 years
Now
ago,
we
like,
get
I
it.
know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got to make use of that wonderful energy. And I guess, in time, we will be proven wrong, or hopefully we'll be proven wrong and they were right and it was worth keep on beating it. And probably is, because public opinion is coming round, isn't it?
It is. Slowly but surely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, you go
will,
enjoy the rest of your day.
So my last words are, my channel is Alex Hills on YouTube. It's still going. We're not monetized. I've only got 200 subs, but we do put out all our actions on there. Also, Timothy and I have been putting our music on there, but we've got about 20 songs that I need to edit into videos and do our new news music show, which hopefully if we get our act together, we can do a weekly news update by violin and, just making it up as we go along. But we've got all these juicy songs and we're going to put it on a channel called Good Bad, which is our band's name. Good Bad Wellington is our Facebook group. So you got it.
Thank you.
So much.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Lovely action for Assange people here as well.
What's the name?
This is Action for Assange.
What's your name?
Misty.
Misty.
Hi,
hello.
Stephen. And that's Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. Good on you.
And that's Mark Lubbers, but you can't see.
Mark.
Yep.
Good on you for what you're doing. God bless.
Thank you.
You
Thank
too.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye,
I'm going to
guys.
sign off.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
She's so funny. She's like, I'm going to drive and talk to you. No, Alex, don't do that.
Don't.
Don't do that. Silly goose. Okay. Do we have anything else or should we close out?
Can we talk? Well, I just
No.
want to ask
No.
Mark about.
No.
I've been doing weird hand shit all day.
You do weird hand shit? Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
But I did want to talk to Mark about the
Jazz
protests going on
Andrew?
all across Europe right now. because there's
Yeah, Mark, what's going on?
like there's like anti-lockdown protests like crazy going on out there.
Yes,
Niels Melzer actually
amazing.
has started tweeting that he has never before witnessed governments treating so many citizens like enemies, or something along those lines. So I just wanted, as Niels Melzer, an ally of ours, I wanted to give another issue that he's putting forward sometime. Could you talk about kind of what's going on over in Europe right now?
Yeah, it's been going on for a while here already with the human rights abuses. I mean, the police pretty much started with the whole agent provocateur stuff, right? We call them Romeos in here. They were like introducing these fake protesters into the protests, and they were like, creating violence. And then the police was attacking all the protesters really bad. With water cannons at first, but they're also like beating up people, right? And regardless of what you think of the whole COVID situation, I mean, the right to protest is a right? It is a human right, and you can't really just stop it. And then it was like last week in Germany, in Berlin, it really got out of hand. So the media said like this is like these were like tens of people protesting, but really it was over 100,000 people, right? And the police showed up. I saw in the footage that they were beating up a 12-year-old kid in the middle of the street. They threw a guy through the glass. He was like covered in blood, like the whole streets were in blood. And another guy got killed at the protests in Berlin. And most of it is actually filmed. So there's footage of it. Now, and then in France, right? In France, but it's been going on for like super long already with the Yellow Fest, with the Gilets Jaunes, right? And they've been very aggressive against these people too. And now it's just like combining with the anti-lockdown protests. But okay, so the police isn't shooting with live bullets or whatever, but they're shooting with rubber bullets. But they're shooting at faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's people losing their eyes and stuff. And that just happens, and you see these pictures arriving, and some guy gets like some kind of gas, like a canister in his face, and you have like other people get shot in the face with rubber bullets, and
that's been happening in the States too. It's terrifying. Like we saw, it really ramped up around like Standing Rock, but it's I mean that's like common practice now, and they're doing it in Israel to Palestinians. So this is like the new, it really is kind of a global thing. It's more of like the whole global takeover. They want to, again, it's about crushing dissent on all levels, in all forms.
I see. That's what we also had a theory on, like maybe they're trying to make people more aggressive to like destabilize their country or whatever, so that whole global thing can take over then, like create like this order out of chaos thing.
Well, if
but that's a theory, right?
Kissinger's lockstep document, they talk about their global strategy to deploy bioweapons. Because Henry Kissinger is a motherfucker that's literally like nuke Tehran. Like that is who Henry Kissinger is. He's
like one of the worst human beings to ever walk the planet. As
Secretary of State in the United States, he oversaw absolutely deplorable things, but is one of the people that openly called for literally just nuking a desert right outside of the Iranian capital just to show them that we can put it there type shit. And in his lockstep document, that is still like we're living in it. This is lockstep. What it says is that they will release a first biological agent that is relatively passive and wait for an anti-lockdown community to build. And then once there is global resistance to lockdowns and to essentially authoritarian control, that's when they release the higher level virus. So I think a lot of the wordplay that they're using now and the overhyping of like the variants is to make people more upset and more predisposed to wanting to fight that, because it's
fear. They use fear against us constantly. That's the most effective weapon against a human being, is to use fear. And that's why they use it. I mean, it's not like it's not like I'm making that up. That's like a known thing. Fear is a great motivator. You know what I'm saying? It's a very easy way to control people.
Yeah, he saw it being used like with the whole terrorism thing to wage wars everywhere. And
That's how we got the Patriot Act. That's how we got the Patriot. And again, it doesn't matter what you think of COVID. I don't care if you think it's a complete hoax.
One of the numbers that I want to add is the time since the temporary Patriot Act was passed.
Yeah, temporary. My ass, we're about to get Patriot Act 2.0 or 3.0, however you want to look at it. But yeah, and it does, again, it doesn't matter what you think of COVID. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter if you think it's a complete hoax, that it was invented by China, that it came from a lab. I don't give a shit what you think of it. It is being 100% used against you. Your fear of it is being used against you. It's getting you to make really bad decisions and ignore really dangerous overreaches of government. And
all while we do not have the ability to expose and hold corrupt people accountable.
Right. It's like the perfect storm for authoritarianism right now. Like we already live in a police state and a surveillance state, but this is a very dangerous. And I know that again sounds dramatic and it sounds like the slippery slope argument, but this is like the slipperiest of slippery slopes.
We're done slipped off the slope.
Yeah, we're like all the way like there.
You know what's scary? That it is the people with empathy cheering on the whole authoritarianism.
I know.
Because they want to protect the health of their friends and whatever. They have this empathy, thinking like this can hurt us, this COVID thing can hurt my friends, and they're cheering it on.
And not only is it people with empathy, but it's otherwise really intelligent people who should know better. And a lot of it's really heartbreaking, honestly, because a lot of people that I have
COVID
great respect for.
Syndrome.
It is.
It's Trump derangement syndrome about something you can't see, feel, touch, or even factually understand.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just fear. It's an emotional manipulation, and they're very, very, very good at doing what they're doing right now. And it, again, doesn't matter what you think of COVID. Like Andrew said, it doesn't matter. Like the Trump thing, they made you afraid of Trump. Doesn't matter what you think of Trump. Trump's terrible. He's a piece of shit. But they ramped, they manipulated reality, essentially. Like they're manufacturing reality. That's what propaganda is all about. And they made him out to be this existential threat. He's not. He's a buffoon. He's a moron. He couldn't do anything. Like he has no gift for subtlety. He would just blurt out the truth on occasion. He's a con man. He's not intelligent in any way. But we got lucky, honestly. We could have gotten a competent Trump, like somebody who actually knew what they were doing and was able to play the role better. And he was just a complete douche canoe and didn't have any idea how to do the things that were necessary. So yeah, I mean, I know it sounds weird to say that we kind of got lucky, but we did kind of. The next, really, Joe Biden is the next Trump because that's, they're all the same. Trump was the next Obama. Obama was the next Bush. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same. It doesn't matter who's president, but I mean, the actor that they put in that role could play a dangerous role because if it is somebody like an Obama who's charismatic and charming, and I mean, look at all the things that Obama got away with, and people still think that he's awesome, and he was terrible.
You have people whose hair caught on fire about Trump's Supreme Court appointees and like the removal of Roe versus Wade and all of the right.
Yeah.
That same political ideology is now calling for the removal of Roe versus Wade through mandatory government vaccinations. Because the only thing that protects a woman's right in this country for an abortion is medical privacy. Mm-hmm. And those people are willing to give up that entire feminist fight and the entire right to your own body because they want to see their neighbor get their door kicked in because they don't want to get a vaccine.
That's what's fucked up is that, it's the hypocrisy. It's my body, my choice until it's something that you.
And then it's my choice.
Right. And it's, I hate I cannot stand intellectual inconsistencies. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like I fuck it up too. And I'm inconsistent at times and I'm hypocritical at times. I hate it. There's nothing I hate more. It drives me crazy. We all know because I freaked out about the Chelsea Manning thing because I was being a hypocrite. But yeah, I cannot stand that. Just be consistent, y'all. That's all I'm asking. At least try. Jesus. Oh, and it's frustrating because as somebody who again, I hate labels, but I consider myself a leftist, generally speaking. And it seems like these used to be leftist issues that the left, the quote unquote left has just completely turned their backs on. Free speech, all that stuff. It's super frustrating. And there's nobody fucking fighting for this shit right now. Like a handful of us who are even paying attention. You know, that's like we talked about earlier. Our First Amendment is getting destroyed in broad fucking daylight, and we can't get anybody to give a shit.
From every
And I
direction,
don't know.
whether you care about it for religious liberties, whether you care about it because you want to be able to go to a fucking music festival, or because you want to read classified information.
Right. Like the entire First Amendment is getting like just shredded right in front of us. Like, and honestly, we're like participating. Like not we, but some people are actively participating in our own destruction.
Yeah.
So frustrating. Stevie Nicks is trending, and I don't like that. They need to put like a disclaimer that she's not dead. Okay.
What?
No, okay, I love Stevie Nicks. Like I just happened to look at my Twitter because I had it pulled up, and Stevie Nicks is trending. And every time a celebrity trends that I like, I panic because I don't want them to be dead. You know what I mean? And so I saw like Stevie Nicks popped up on the trending thing, and I like just had a little mini panic attack. Sorry. But she's just canceling festival appearances because of COVID. Actually, there you have it.
But I think
so, huh?
I don't think we even had anything to have it.
For what?
Else.
No, I think we're done. We can wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay, well, one more thing maybe. Do you guys think that whole COVID thing will ever end?
Oh.
So the answer I tell my daughter, right, because I have little kids, when they ask me, hey, when's COVID gonna stop? I tell them when people finally demand that it ends.
Yeah.
And I think and then it's whatever the fuck they bring out next, but.
Yeah.
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 They'll get away with whatever we let them. Like they already, here in the United States, our federal government gave out fucking like $40 trillion in the last like 18 months to major corporations while people have nothing. While
they're
closing
shoveling money
shit and taking all of their jobs, and then withholding labor from the actual skilled labor market by being able to offer my children's tax money to people now so that way they don't go to work.
Yeah. We live in a cartoon, yeah.
Because like we had a problem in 2008 where we had more homes unoccupied than we had homeless people. We have more positions of employment unoccupied in the United States than we do people to fill them that are unemployed, that are receiving money from the government. And it's just crazy that they can literally withhold people's labor from the labor market, and then the working class is like, well, the people that represent the working class are like, we want more bailouts for people, even though every time something passes, all of that money goes to the top. Drives me nuts.
Yes, me too. Me too.
So I think we're 6.5 hours away from the start of Julian's trial.
No.
Yeah.
Not trial, hearing.
Hearing.
I keep doing it too.
Kangaroo court, whatever.
Show.
I'll be awake anyway.
When are you not awake? Do you just like catnap? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, lately it's been like that. Yeah, but I'm going to be awake. I know Deepa, the driver, is going to be in the courthouse herself. And
I want to do court coverage in the morning, but I don't know if I will be able to. So I may collect everyone's live tweets and put it the best I can into like after the fact coverage, and then read through the case as it happens after. But I hope there's someone that picks up live court coverage, because I don't want to have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Nobody's gonna do it, Andrew.
No, I know. I've literally, like, this whole time I've been debating whether or not I want to sleep at the shop so I can do a stream at 5 in the morning.
If I knew how to do it, I would do it, but I don't really. Yeah, nobody's gonna do it though.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I'm Misty. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I also have another show called Fox on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell. We have a shit ton of stuff coming up because I just went through one of my like crazy booking phases. So I literally booked like 12 interviews today. So there's a lot of shit coming up. I have Bitch with Comrade Misty on Wednesdays at 7. Tomorrow I have JB, Compton J, Unapologetic Dantel, and who did I forget? RJ? Did I say RJ? RJ? Yeah? I don't know. JB, RJ, Compton J, and Dontel. Okay, so I have those guys coming on tomorrow at 7. That's going to be awesome. That'll be a banger. And then also tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on FHL with Compton J to talk about Julian Assange. So we're going to do like a deep dive. You guys should tune in for that as well. And I think that's it. Shit. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got going on right now, mostly.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. I heard that also. Okay, no, okay. So yeah, you can find me on marklubbers.com. I actually wrote some articles about some things we discussed tonight. They contain some things I was afraid to say because I don't want this episode to be censored one day before the Assange court case. So yeah, just find me on there, especially about the whole lockdown stuff too. I wrote some things that might be interesting for you. I don't know.
Stuff with you. My name's Andrew Smith. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman. You can find all of us, Action for Assange, on Twitter at action_4 Assange. In the descriptions, we have the links to the End the Damn Wars Free Assange Fuck Censorship events that we have planned for September 11th weekend, 10, 11, 12, I believe. We also have the link to Craig Murray's legal defense. We have the link to the North Carolina billboards. Soon, Misty will be putting up, eventually one day, the link for the Columbus billboards again. So
I'll do it
we can
tomorrow.
try to get the shoe space. But yeah, please, if you can, donate. If you cannot, please do not go broke. Just help us share the link. It goes a long way. But yeah, just keep doing what you can. If you have the ability to get out tomorrow, or in the U.S. tomorrow, please do so. Even if you're just going around personally hanging up posters or talking, just literally talking to people, passing out flyers. Just do what you can with the time and money that you have, because right now it's really up against the wire.